Saturday night TV in the 90s was simply unbeatable, a lineup of must-see shows that glued the nation to their sofas. There was nothing quite like sitting down with your family to watch the likes of Blind Date, Gladiators, Beatles About and The Generation Game, but reigning over them all was the chaotic, unmissable spectacle of Noel's House Party. Debuting in 1991, the show ran throughout the 90s, ending in 1999, and was described at the time by a senior executive as the most important show on the BBC. Noel's House Party, the successor to the Noel Edmonds Saturday Road Show, which aired from 1988 to 1990, gave us so many iconic moments over the years, including a number of great gotcha moments, Grab-A-Grand, NTV, the Gunge Tank, and of course we can't forget about the national treasure that is Mr. Blobby. Every episode of Noel's House Party was set in the fictional village of Crinkley Bottom, filmed at BBC Television Centre in London. But in March 1997, the show would be broadcast for the first time outside of Crinkley Bottom as the show travelled stateside for a one-off special from New York City. And in this episode of the 90s Rewind, we're going to relive this special episode of the show. Noel's House Party was one of my family's favourite shows to watch together on Saturday nights, and so I thought a look back at one of the special episodes of the show would be an interesting topic for the 90s Rewind. So let's head back to early 1997 to relive the time when Noel and Blobby invaded New York City. Before we start, if you're enjoying the content here on the channel, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. The episode starts with some shots of New York City before we head straight to the Ed Sullivan Theatre where this episode is being broadcast from, which at the time was used nightly for The Late Show with David Letterman. Noel kicks off the show with a few gags about New York.
If you go up on the roof, you can see for 50 miles. Straight down.
Before saying that he has to call back to Crinkley Bottom to check in with actor Sean Maguire, who was on the show the previous week and who is now looking after the house in Noel's absence.
No messages, really. One from your dentist. He said when you get back, you can come and pick your teeth up. They're ready. All right, mate, take care. Bye-bye now, bye-bye.
The doorbell to the apartment rings and our first guest is David Hasselhoff, who will be helping to give away a trip for two to New York on board Concorde. And all you have to do to enter is call the number on screen, which I'm not gonna lie, I could barely read, but I suppose this recording of the episode is much lower quality than when it was originally broadcast. One number will be picked at random later in the show and they'll be asked 3 questions for a chance to win the tickets. Now we get the first of 3 little skits of Noel exploring New York. He appears to be lost and asks a man sweeping the street for help, but this man turns out to be none other than William Shatner.
What do you want to eat?
Well.
Who's got Pam Anderson on a Sunday?
What's a Pamela Anderson on a Sunday?
2 fried eggs on toast.
Next, Noel heads into the audience and claims to have learned how to do scalp reading, whatever that is, and knows the name of one of the audience members.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, would you just stand up one moment, please, Kath Seapack?
He then takes her outside and gives her a VIP seat on Broadway to watch the show.
Hiya! Enjoy the whole show, sitting on Broadway. You've got your own TV there. Hi, everyone, happy?
Next is My Little Friend, where we see 2 kids from a local school talking to Buzz, who's run out of gas.
Hi. No need to shout. I'm not deaf. My word, you from another planet?
You'll always get a good laugh out of the audience showing kids doing or saying funny things. I'm sure we all remember the hilarity of Kids Say the Funniest Things with Michael Barrymore. Stay tuned for an episode looking back at that incredible show in the future. Next up is NTV, where David Hasselhoff pranks Karen Eckhart, who's having lunch at a restaurant in Miami.
A beer and a lobster. What were you thinking of, Karen Eckhart? I'll tell you what, Karen Eckhart.
It seemed to take her a while to realize David was talking to her, but she eventually understood what was going on.
Karen Eckhart, you are the star of NTV on Noel's House Party, live from New York. Hello, Karen.
We'll come back to NTV a little later on. Back out on the streets of New York, and Noel doesn't know what time it is, so he asks a police officer, who turns out to be once again William Shatner.
Assume the position. Not that position, this position. Up against the car, lean against the car, lift a hand.
Everyone in New York is so nice.
A musical interlude next, with Barry Manilow singing I'd Really Love to See You Tonight, a song he had just covered on his most recent album. And I can't lie, this was pretty bad.
I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life.
The doorbell rings again, and it's Tyne Daly, who does a bit as a Broadway agent, even getting Noel to sing a little bit. Well, I say singing.
That's lovely. Now let's try you on projection. Just let me step down here and you try it again.
Tyne then says she's actually looking for someone else though, another very famous person from the UK, and I think we all know who that is. We then get this hilarious video package of Blobby exploring the city while New Yorkers look on in absolute disbelief. Blobby then heads off with his new agent, Tyne Daly, and we go back to NTV and Karen Eckhart at the restaurant. Karen's husband had told the show that she was a big fan of good service at a restaurant and doesn't like it when things go wrong. So the previous evening, Noel and his team decided to make everything go wrong. Karen was delivered the wrong food and then was told to just eat it anyway. The waitress then sits down and asks to taste some of her dish. And then later, when apparently apologizing, the waitress takes a dive into the swimming pool and blames it on Karen.
Apologize for any inconvenience.
Okay.
Please.
I didn't push her.
No, she jumped.
I didn't push her.
She jumped.
Back in the studio, Kath, who's been sitting outside watching the show on Broadway, is now brought back into the studio by Blobby. We learn that for some reason she once threw up in a fondue at a friend's party, and her punishment is getting a good gunging.
3, 2, 1.
We then get one final short vignette of Noel back out on the streets of New York, this time looking for a hot dog. And wouldn't you know it, there's William Shatner again.
We have a saying here in New York that if a man is tired of New York, he's tired of living.
Oh, really? Well, we have a saying as well. When a man is tired of Crinkley Bottom, he's not a bad judge.
These little videos with William Shatner are not very funny at all, but I did like the Star Trek reference at the end.
Onions, Spock.
Next up is this week's Gotcha, where Joan Rivers is invited to a special art exhibition of paintings by the actress Stephanie Beacham. But what Joan doesn't know is that the paintings were actually made by children from local schools in London.
Obviously the British viewer knows Stephanie for her performances in Dynasty, Captain Pugwash and things of that nature. Do you also think that she is gifted as an artist?
I think it's very primitive, and that's wonderful.
A portrait of Joan, apparently painted by Stephanie herself, is then revealed, and Joan's face is priceless.
It's great. It's lively.
Then Noel appears in absolutely no disguise whatsoever, claiming to be a dealer who has bid $100,000 for the portrait of Joan as he is such a big fan of hers. I suppose Joan probably had no idea who Noel was before this, so there was no need for a disguise. And when he brings out the Gotcha trophy for her, Joan still doesn't really seem to understand what's going on. But eventually it clicks.
Really tell me what you think of that absolutely horrible painting. It looks like something on acid.
Definitely not the best gotcha I've ever seen. Perhaps in a future episode we'll take a look back at some of the best gotchas of all time. Back in the studio, it's time to give away the trip to New York on board Concorde. Noel has chosen 6 phone numbers at random from everyone who called in. For some reason he has 6 crazy looking telephones, and a gigantic die is rolled from the top of the studio to select the first caller.
So what are we at there on the... Is it falling over on a 4? 4.
A number 4 is rolled and we get John from Harrow. He has to answer 3 questions correctly to win the trip, and the questions are all about those 3 little clips with William Shatner from throughout the show. The first question is, what is a Pamela Anderson on a sunbed, something Shatner mentioned in the diner in the first video, but John has no idea and goes completely silent. So the die is rolled again and it clearly lands on number 4 again, but Noel claims it's a 6 for some reason.
1, 2, F5, it's not a 5, no, it's rolling across on a 5, it's a 6. We'll take that as a 6. 6.
Our second caller is Malcolm, who is able to answer all 3 questions correctly and wins the trip on Concorde to the Big Apple.
Malcolm! Yes? These are your Concorde tickets.
David Hasselhoff is then brought back out to try and find as much spending money for Malcolm as possible by finding money bags hidden throughout the studio and in the nearby vicinity. People on the street must have been wondering what on earth David Hasselhoff was doing running around with bags of money.
You shouldn't be carrying this much money around with you. It's New York!
David was able to find all of the bags, meaning Malcolm has also won $1,000 of spending money for his trip to New York. The show closes with Barry Manilow singing Mandy. This is a much better performance than what we saw earlier, and with that, Noel's New York house party comes to an end. Noel's house party was a mainstay of British television throughout the 90s and is fondly remembered as one of the greatest British TV shows of all time. The show's popularity in the early years was unmatched, drawing in millions of viewers every Saturday night and quickly becoming a cultural phenomenon. Families would plan their evenings around it, we all eagerly anticipated someone getting a good gunge, celebrities feared falling victim to a gotcha, and of course we all loved the wacky antics of Mr. Blobby. Noel's house party was a shared weekly event that truly brought the nation together. However, like many long-running series, its magic began to fade towards the end of the decade. Ratings gradually declined, and after nearly a decade on air, the BBC finally pulled the plug in 1999. Despite its decline, the show left behind a treasure trove of unforgettable memories, and today, Noel's House Party is remembered with immense nostalgia as one of the defining shows of 90s Britain. A perfect snapshot of an era when Saturday night TV was truly unmissable. Thanks for watching this episode of the 90s Rewind, everyone. What are some of your memories of Noel's House Party? We don't really have TV shows like this anymore that truly bring the nation together. Perhaps we need something like this back on our screens again? Let me know your thoughts and memories in the comments below. Please don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content here on the channel, and I'll see you again in the next video.